As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the Polish Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Eva. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. As a reminder, this is going to be a best of 5 between these two players. Let's go. Let us go. So we are setting in. I see Knifings in the chat. Spirit vs. Agrifier was casted. Unfortunately, we were not able to cast it. We were covering Mixu versus GG Machine at the time, so we were unable to bear witness to that PvT. So unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Second Fleet Beacon. Amazing. Yeah, double the Fleet Beacon. Double the Mama shit. Kappa. There you go. As we get into our PvZ. And again, MaNa has been looking very impressive as of late. Very impressive here as MaNa. He has been taking down some bigger and bigger names, especially in the PvP matchup. He's been looking very impressive. And even these other matchups against Terran and against Zerg, it's been just really crazy to see MaNa just really popping off this year. I say this year 2024, especially at the tail end of the year. MaNa, he did pop off. MaNa, he was not the most active of players, especially leading into the year of 2024. 2023, MaNa, he was barely active, playing in mainly the big EPT regionals, but not much more than that. And there was something about 2024 which reinvigorated him. I mean, I say something about it. I'm pretty sure it was Stormgate. Like, Stormgate, MaNa, for whatever reason, did commit quite hard to it. Was very active when it came to streaming and making content and competing and being a competitor in Stormgate. And it is at least my theory. I mean, I'd love to hear from MaNa himself, of course, his thoughts. But I do think that him competing in Stormgate did kind of reinvigorate him. Like, it's kind of lit his competitive drive once again. And after, of course, the Stormgate events died down, MaNa, he kept competing and he started focusing more on StarCraft. So it's great to see MaNa just, refocus and re-centralize on SC2 towards the later half of 2024, and has been looking really good and really competitive amongst all these other younger players. Like MaNa, he's a veteran in the scene, and do I want to look at the age gap between Eva and MaNa? Do I want to? Is there like a 20-year age gap? I don't know if it's that large, but Eva is one of the younger players in the scene, and MaNa's one of the older players. And again, MaNa, he can take it to the best of them. Like, he's still very competitive, very strong, especially in current meta, in current day. If we were casting MaNa versus Eva at the start of 2024, I would have favored Eva. Nowadays, I would favor MaNa. Oh boy. Don't you? Oh no. MaNa could be Eva's father. True, true. Oh no. Not like this. He is here to discipline his son. Ah, no. As for now, we're going to be joining up. We have our spores on the way. Eva settling in. Likewise, oh my god, we have MaNa did open up Stargate into a Rover and a Twilight Council. This looks like an Archon drop. This looks like an Archon-based follow-up here out of MaNa, as this should be leading into a War Prism, into a Templar Archives, into, I would imagine, Archon production, or High Templar into Archon production. We'll see if that's the case, as this is a little bit more old school. Here we go, Gateway Explosions on the horizon. Twilight Council's done. Show us the Templar Archives. Yeah, there it is. See, we still got it back. We still got it. So this is an Archon drop. Basically, this build is kind of like a delayed way to get into Archon production and to get into Archon drop play across the map, to harass mineral lines, to pick off Overlords as well. And we'll see how Eva responds to it. For now, just saturating his bases. There is no Roach Warren. No Roach Warren, purely Ling Queen into Hydras as the lair is almost done. So Eva is skipping Roach production, and he might be punished for it. with what comes next with the Archons. As the Prism has arrived, High Templar soon to be warped in. And what is it to defend? I'm afraid to look here. Eba, he has 18 Lings. 18 Lings and 4 Queens. And these Archons, they can blow up. Can blow up. Behind this, MaNa, he's just saturating. This is going to lead into additional Immortal production, into Charged Archon Immortal, into a Death Bull of an army in the mid-game. For now, though, the Archon drop has arrived. For now, just hunting down Overlords. Prism takes a lot of hits. And nice positioning here with the Queens. They do chip away here at the Archons themselves. Archons moving in. Reinforcement with Zealous. Another Overlord goes down. That does supply block Eba. Hydra production has begun. MaNa pushing in. Hydras have arrived. And with the help of the Hydras, Eba should hold. Not without losing Queens, though. Oh my god. Does go for the dive. He gets one, he gets two, he gets three. 3 Queens go down. Going for the Hydras. Ooh, hot pickup. And with that MaNa, he will save one. He will save both Archons just barely as well. Very nice control out of MaNa. He gets away, gets out. Looking at the trades here, that was 4 Zealots for 26 Lings. 4 Queens, 4 Hydras, and 3 Overlords. Very efficient trade here out of MaNa. Very nicely done. From here, he backs up. Again, he did punish the greed, of course, of Eba. His third base getting saturated. And as we mentioned before, he's building up towards that Immortal Archon composition. Charge is finishing up. Storm is on the way. Immortal production underway as well. This MaNa, he's building up that Death Bull of an army. Meanwhile, Eba behind this is teching. Taking all of his gases, a bit of a later 4th base, but he's teching into a fast infestation bit and Lurker Den. Eba, he's rushing into Lurkers. Oh boy. Doesn't have the most ideal setup coming into this and the most ideal economy, but if he is left alone, then he can snowball out of control. Now, the problem though is that there is going to be a timing. The timing here is Storm. Storm is almost done. And when Storm finishes, it's going to line up with Charge, it's going to line up with +1, it's going to line up with this Gateway Explosion as well, and MaNa will soon move out. I mean, he is moving out. He's moving out and he's hitting with Storm. And the Lurkers aren't ready. Lurker Gen is just now about to finish, and without Lurkers, this is going to be a tough hold for Eba. I mean, it's purely Hydra. It's pure Hydra against Storm of all things. Oh boy. And here we go. The Zealot reinforcements have arrived. The base is going to be knocked down. And Eba, he's going to be punished for his greed. The base is denied. And MaNa can keep pushing. And how good are the Storms going to be? Oh. As does commit. Here comes the first Storm. There's 3 more. There's a second Storm as well. 2 more left. 1 more left. Oh, and a juicy Storm on the Hydras. From here, Archons are morphing in. Zealots, they bust into the mineral line. More Chargelets in production. Hydras, they do focus down 2 of those Archons, though. Bunch of Chargelets, they collapse on the Hydras. Archons are cleaned up. Eba, he is barely holding on. But it's not an efficient trade. More Zealots, they just rally in. And MaNa, he has done it. He has broken through. GG gets called, and MaNa will take game number 1. GG. Very crisp execution there out of MaNa. Going for the initial Archon drop into the Storm timing. Very nicely done. Again, very crisp execution. And alas, Eba was just bleeding out far too much, far too early on. It was a really rough hold against the initial Archon push. If you remember, he lost a lot of Hydras, Queens, Lings as well. And as we did mention, there was a window in time where he was vulnerable before he had Lurkers and when MaNa had Storm. So again, if MaNa had hit any later, if Lurkers were allowed to morph in, then Eba holds and we get into a longer game. But MaNa hit just before the Lurkers are ready. GG. GG, well played. With that, MaNa takes the lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. Let's go. And what I should also emphasize as well is that I would say that the initial value that MaNa was getting was also based on the fact that Eba did skip roaches. If you remember, he was going straight Ling Hydra, so he was vulnerable early on as well. He did choose to skip roach production, and as a result, the initial charge or Archon move out was able to achieve even more damage. So there's a lot that came into the success of MaNa in that game, but now we're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of King's Cove, we have the red Protoss player from Atlanta, Poland, representing Team Liquid, leading the series 1-0. It is MaNa. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Zerg player from the land of the UK, representing the Platinum Heroes, it is Eva. Here we go. We are going to be settling in. MaNa is 16 years older. There you go. I think is that like twice the age of Eva? Like Eva's like 17, I want to say. Something like that. Let's go, Pappy. Let's go. Again, MaNa disproving, you know, the copium from people on Reddit or in the chat that are like, oh, you know, I'm too old, so my hands are slow. Nah, mate. Just speed up, Pappy. You'll be fine. You can keep up with the Zoomers. Eva is known for his speed. True. He is known for his high APM. I mean, a lot of these younger players are. But nah, MaNa, he's got the experience on his side. As for now, Gate Expand. Gate Expand as standard opener here out of MaNa. Eva forced to take the unnatural natural. So a bit of a more awkward start out of Eva. And welcome one and all to King's Cove. King's Cove, of course, is a map where you are quite secure on your 3-base economy. Is a larger map of the map pool, but the 4th base is a little more exposed, is a little more vulnerable, and we have seen time and time again, specifically in this matchup, players be aggressive with Ling Hydra, get away with rushing into lurkers, and the win condition for Zerg players is deny the 4th. Deny the 4th base over and over and over again, gain map control, starve out the Protoss player, and just make it as difficult as possible for them to expand and to really get a handle on the map. So if Eva were to go into, once again, like Ling Hydra into lurker tech, if he were to once again skip roaches, I do favor that style here on King's Cove, but at the same time, I don't want to take agency away from MaNa. MaNa was very active, very aggressive last game, and he could do the same here as well on King's Cove. So my eye is going to be on MaNa to see how he does open up and what build he goes for. It's one of those things where, on the one hand, I do like the idea of Eva once again trying to rush into lurker tech. I do think it's going to be more successful here on King's Cove. At the same time, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be possible to punish that. For now, Stargate. Stargate into Oracle, so far so good. Everything looking as it should from the side of MaNa. Would not be taking a third. And we'll keep an eye on that follow-up tech. Remember last game, it was Twilight Council plus a Robo, which did scream Archon drop. This time, what do you have for us? Here we go. Eva is 15, 16 next month. There you go. Ay. Este Eva. Here we go. As for now, okay, interesting. It is going to be Stargate opener into the 3rd base. That is a Robo follow-up. That is not normal. You have my attention. Robo into, okay. It's the same build. It is the same build, so it's going to be Stargates into Oracle into a 3rd base, into Robo Twilight Council, into a Temple Archives, into another Archon drop. Meanwhile, we do see Eva rushing into a very fast lit. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. My apologies. I didn't quite notice this. I was otherwise distracted by the chat. But yeah, that was an insanely fast lair. What was this? A sub 4-minute lair timing? Jesus. With this, we could do one of two things. We could rush into Hydras once again, or potentially even rush into a Spire. What do you have for us? Hydras. Okay, so it's going to be a Hydra rush here out of Eva. So rushing into tech, once again skipping roaches. And once again, MaNa could punish this. Now, because of the earlier lair and the earlier Hydra den, it's possible that Hydras are going to be out in time to defend against the first Archons. As we mentioned, again, it's the same build 2 games in a row. Oracle does scout, and MaNa does see the Hydra den. He's aware. Oh, drones are falling, getting 4 drones so far. 4 workers do full, stasis trap in the mineral line. MaNa will escape. You can see Hydra range already in production here. So again, this Hydra production is much earlier for Eva. Ooh, he is supply blocked. 3 overlords on the way. Now is not the time for the supply block. Here comes the initial Archon drop. but I'm sure this time MaNa is going to be a little bit more tentative with the drop itself, as there should be more to defend. There we go. 6 Hydras are on the way, and this time the Hydras are going to be ready for the Archon drop. So Eba is much more prepared this time. MaNa rotating over in towards that third, going for the mineral line. Hydra's not quite in position, distracted by the Oracle. Archon's A drop in, and so far 3 drone kills, not bad. 3 workers do fall. Archon's A back up. Oh no, they stack up! Oh my god! that was terrifying. The drones, they did stack up here at the third base. Meanwhile, Prism goes down. Massive overextension. MaNa does overextend, Prism falls, and with that, Eba holds. Whew. And again, the mineral line could have been roasted there in one fell swoop. Does save his drones, shuts down the Prism, and now Eba can rush into lurkers. For now, focusing on that second Hydra upgrade. We'll see if he does commit into like a Hydra timing and a Hydra move out, or if he takes up further into lurkers first. There it is, we have the answer. Infestation Bit, into Hive, into lurker. So Eba is just rushing into that late game tech, and MaNa can't really punish him this time. So this time it is a much stronger start for the Zerg. Speaking of lurkers, there it is. As we did mention, again, it is a lurker rush out of Eba, just cutting as many corners as possible. And because the map is so large, these move outs, this storm follow-up here out of MaNa, it takes longer to get across the map. So I'm not as in love with the same build 2 games in a row, especially on a map like King's Cove. Lurker Den is almost halfway done. Eba is being active, as he gets eyes on the tech. Storm is complete. War Prism is being rebuilt. Eba does spot the army, and looks like he wants to try to engage ahead of time, ideally force out a storm. We'll see if he can. This is a risky maneuver out of Eba, as he doesn't want to throw away these Hydras. Shaving off one Zealot. He wants the other. Up! Up! And he gets it. 2 Zealots go down. Did spot the Prism, and he will catch it. Oh, he at least zones away. Zones away the War Prism. He's keeping MaNa pinned. Collapsing in the army, forcing out a storm. Going for the Archon, and he does get it. Very nice snipe. Hydra's coming from the left, forcing out another storm as well. And that is 5 Hydras going down. And again, he's just keeping MaNa busy while back at home he techs up. Lurker Den is done. Hive is almost done as well for those lurker upgrades. And here come the first wave of lurkers. 7 lurkers in production. Unlike the previous game, lurkers, they should be ready for this. The observer does confirm. MaNa is aware. And can he get on top of those lurkers? It's going to be close. Oh, just barely he will. Ah, he denies one. Does force a cancel. Only 2 lurkers left. Eba barely not ready in time. Only 2 lurkers. Storm zones away. MaNa trying to avoid the main army. Pushing in towards the third. Storm on the ramp. Hydra zoned away. Oh my god, the storm in the mineral line. And so far, MaNa just positioning himself very well here. 19 drone kills. Oh my god, Zealots they bust into the natural. Drones are going down. And Eba, he did have a stronger start this time, but the third base goes down. 23 drone kills. And Eba, he's just been outpositioned. From here, MaNa, he recalls the hell out of here. Takes down a mineral line, a base. Trades well. And back at home, he's up in economy. He's got 4 bases, 77 workers. He's reinforcing, more Zealots, more Archons. And he was in a rough place. Eba's in a rough position here. Sure, he has tech, but he has no money. Eba's broke. He can't afford the upgrades, has a Hive, but can't afford, of course, a lurker range. Or adaptive talents. Sky Toss on the horizon for MaNa. He's in a better position. Can embrace Sky Toss. And as the Sky Toss army builds up, that's when the lurkers become less effective, and that's when we need Sky Zerg, Aspire. Spire, Corruptors, Spellcasters. Eba didn't quite get away with it. And now the pressure is on Eba to bounce back. Now, it is not impossible. We could see Eba go for Ling run-bys, Bailing run-bys, even Lurkers across the map, Nidus Worm into the main. There are ways to try to bounce back in this game. But again, the pressure is on Eba. The onus is on Eba to make that happen. For now, he's just trying to turtle up and build up his Lurker count. He's trying to survive. There we go, Spire's on the way. Eba, he didn't quite confirm in the main yet, but is setting up for it nonetheless. MaNa picks in. Lands a decent storm. Takes down a Lurker. He gets one. Another storm here on the army. Gets a second Lurker as well. Getting a third. At the same time, Zels do at the third base. That was just a big distraction. Zels pushing into the fourth as well. MaNa just trying to pull Eba apart. And he does bust into the mineral line. GG gets called. Eba, he just cannot keep up. And MaNa takes a 2-0 lead. GG. Does take a 2-0 lead here. And again, I mean, I'm quite impressed here. Eba did have a stronger start. If you remember, Eba, he was able to get into his Hydras in time. Eba was able to get into his Lurker tech in time as well. I mean, I say that barely not in time. If you remember, Eba, he only had 2 Lurkers. He had 7 more on the way, or 7 in total on the way, but they were denied. They were barely denied in time, and MaNa, he was able to just squeeze on past the main army into the third base and wreak havoc. Zealot in the natural, main army at the third, he just pulled Eba apart. It was a very, very close defense there. If Eba just had a couple of extra seconds to finish those Lurkers, then he holds, then we have a very different game state. Almost, but not quite. And with that, we're getting into game number 3. And the question becomes, does MaNa go for the same build 3 games in a row? What I'm referring to is Stargate Opener into a third, into a faster Robo Twilight Council, into an Archon drop. He's done it 2 games so far. What I will say is that Eba has been having better responses as time has gone on, but I mean, it still worked, so so we'll see. We shall see as we're getting into game 3, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Frostline, we have the Polish Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Team Liquid. 1 game away from qualifying for the main event. It is MaNa. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Zerg player from the land of the UK, representing the Platinum Heroes down in the series. He has to fight back here and now to have a chance to force the ace match. He needs your support. It is Eba. Here we go. So from here we are going to settle in. And we'll see if our players do deviate from their initial builds. On the one hand, I'm emphasizing that MaNa has gone for the same build 2 games in a row. That is true. On the other hand, Eba likewise has gone for a similar strategy 2 games in a row as well. The overall goal here of Eba has been to rush into Hydra and Lurker tech as quickly as possible. This time though on Frostline, what do we see here? We do have a hatch pool into, I would imagine, a third hatchery. Are we opening up gasless? And are we going for the macro hatch at the natural? We have been hearing murmurings. If you've been here, if you've been watching the CranKy Ducklings over the past week, you would know that Zerg players have been attempting a very unique build, but now there it is. Gas is being taken. It is a later gas, but gas nonetheless. Okay. Not quite the Eric build. Not yet. No with the macro hatch. So we're going to be settling in. With this, of course, link speed is going to be delayed. So it's going to be a delayed link speed here from Eba. And we'll see if MaNa can try to abuse that. We'll see if we can take advantage of that here. But now MaNa yet to embrace his tech of choice. Cybercore is almost done. Both players just droning. We're just catching up. We go. APM without purpose doesn't mean anything. I should emphasize, Eva has high APM with purpose. And also some without. You would understand if you've seen Eva's Overlords. Oh, no. But for now, we are going to be settling in. Eva getting his third. Getting into link speed. Pulling out a gas, of course, and we'll see what MaNa goes for this time. We have the initial Stargate into a third base, and we're once again keeping an eye out for the Robo and the Twilight Council. Does MaNa switch it up? Does he need to switch it up? That is the question. So Overlord is being forced back. There it is, Robo, same build. Robo into a Twilight Council, into Temple Archives. Overlord goes down, that does supply block Eva. There's that Twilight Council. And we'll see how Eva adapts here. We'll see how he does respond. Again, I want to emphasize that in the previous game, Eva did respond well. He was, if you recall, he went for a faster lair. Speaking of, it is going to be just barely sub 4-minute lair timing into, I would imagine, Hydras, into early Hydra production, into shutting down the first Warp Prism. So it looks like Eva, he's responding in the same way. I'm getting deja vu. But again, I do want to emphasize that in that previous game, if Eva had just gotten those lurkers a couple of seconds sooner, I mean, that makes the world of difference. Oh my god, meanwhile, that's Glaives. Let's go. That's a lot of gateways, by the way. Jesus. That is 7 gates. 7 gates on the way. Oh no. No. Eva, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. So okay, there's a lot happening right now. First things first. Eva, he is setting up and he's going into Hydras. He's going straight up laying Hydra. He is skipping roaches once again. And how do you abuse a player that is skipping roaches and skipping Bailings? With Glaive Adepts. Glaive Adepts, they wreak havoc, they annihilate Lings, and they annihilate Hydras as well. This is almost a hard counter to what Eva's doing, as Eva is blindly preparing for Archons that aren't coming. Oh boy. So it is going to be an all-in out of MaNa, and I think this is going to hit quite hard. And I am very concerned for Eva here, as Adepts, they're moving out initially. Prism is ready, Adepts are spotted. And I'm not sure Eva can do anything about this. Eva, he just droned. We have 4 Hydras on the way, but what are Hydras going to do? As the Adepts, they have arrived. And how many gates? It's going to be 8. 8 gates on 3 bases. We can warp in 8 Adepts at a time. MaNa pushing in. And what is there to defend? There's a handful of Lings. There's a handful of Queens. Adepts stay shaded to the Mineral Line. Stasis is going to be going up. Drone's going to be going down. And there's nothing. There's just nothing here. Everything just crumbles, everything catches fire, drones are falling left and right, Lings and Hydras as well. There just is no good answer to these Adepts, as they just roll over everything. GG, and MaNa, he will take the series 3-0, qualifying for the OSC Season 12 Championship. GG. GG, well played. And MaNa just making use of the series here. Again, Eva, he was blindly getting ready for what he assumed was going to be the same build game after game after game out of MaNa. MaNa did switch it up at the end, did throw down the Robo at the wall, so it looked like the same build. Robo into Twilight Council, but there was no Temple Archives. Unfortunately, Eva did not send the Overlord into the main, did not scout, did not double check. Alas, he was caught off guard by that mass gateway Glaive Adept build here. It was basically just an 8-gate 3-base all-in, or 8-gate 2-base all-in, as I'm pretty sure the 3rd base wasn't even saturated for MaNa. Just mass Glaive Adept. This snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. With that, MaNa will claim the series, and with that, we are getting ready for our final qualifying match. Let's go. Here we go. As we are getting into our next series, getting into the final series, the final best of 5 of the night. Here we go. And I believe it should be a ZVZ, as we quickly just double check the brackets.